Hello, this is the Gem Hiker, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to wire wrap a quartz crystal. We're going to go over the wrenches needed, what wire to use, and how to choose a stone. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so here we have a series of wrenches. We've got a pile of wires, and we've got a bunch of stones to choose from. Today we're doing a crystal, so we're going to go with this quartz crystal here. Okay, and we're going to use this stone as our kind of beginner step. Where do we start with this stone? Now, if we were doing this stone, it would be very different than this stone, and there's a reason for that. So pick this stone for the more simplicity of wire wrapping this crystal. Now, the wrenches, we have our snips. We've got round nose. Looks like we have two round noses in here. Flat. And we've got a bent nose, and then another round nose as well. Okay, some extra tools that you might like to have on hand, a marker or a pen, just really for the plastic surface. And some zip ties are always handy to keep that wire under control, as it seems to want to jump around and get out of hand. So, without further ado, now you do see some copper in here. We're not going to be doing a copper wrap today. Copper is a very forgiving wire, but it's very bendy, and it does make it very easy to wrap, but it also can loosen really well, and might give you a false sense for silver and gold and that sort of wire wrapping. Today we're going to work on a silver wire wrap, and let's see what we have here. Typically we're going to go with a 20 gauge for this kind of wire wrap. Now, we're not going to be doing coiling or any kind of wild techniques with wire. This is simply to wrap the stone so that it can be worn. Very simple approach to wire work. So we're going to use this, and the gauges on this is 20 gauge wire. So look good. We see how it already coiled, which is very nice. Again, it goes wild if you don't have these ties on there. We're going to take out a little bit of this. We're going to look at the stone. Now with the stone, we have a nice flat surface here, and that's where we're going to ride the initial wire through. We're going to do the wire right through here with the loop, and looking at it, just to take an assessment of the stone as to where you can maybe find grab points for the wire to cling to. This doesn't have any because it's a crystal, and you'll find this with a lot of crystals. They're either bigger on the bottom or smooth like this to the bottom, so you don't have grab points throughout the stone, making it really tough to not go all the way down towards the point. Okay, which is what we're going to end up doing with this stone. Is we're going to start up here with the loop, we're going to roll it down, and then we're going to wrap it around, and you'll see all this done. And then of course we're going to cinch it in, we're going to tighten it up, but initially we're going to look at the stone and assess it to see where are we going to put the wire. How is this going to look when we're finished? This is a loop first wire wrap, and if I was to do this stone, again very bulbous on the bottom, very thin and tapered at the top. In the loop, if it was to be here, I'd want to drop my wire down pretty far down to catch this edge here to wrap around, and that is to secure the whole stone in a cage. This is the loop first method, so it starts at the top and works its way down, and then usually back up the other side or something like that. And as you'll see, there are other methods which again vary. This is going to be on the more simple side of wire wrap, beginner level, so just about anybody can do this with a little bit of measure of the right wire, the right pliers, and the right stone. So we've assessed our stone as a nice flat back with a nice cavity here to ride the wire in, which is great. And then the loop is going to go up off of that top there with the point facing down. Okay, so let's clear the table here. In another video we'll be going over cabochon wrapping. Cabochon wrapping typically do want a frame to start at the bottom and then work your way up to the loop. There's multiple methods for that, and we're going to do that in another video, as well as other free form and rough pieces, more crystals, tumbled stones, very difficult to wrap. Very difficult to wrap. But you can also do the cage, much like the cabochon. But to do this kind of wrap, loop starting first, very difficult because there's not a lot of grab points. Very slippery stones and more crystals that we'll do probably at another time. So I have these more natural stones. Natural stones are great because a lot of times they have nice edges. Some stones are very soft, like this stone here. This is a calcite, emerald calcite. Tends to be very, very soft, and so the wire and the wrenches can mar the surface when you're wrapping it. We'll be going over that in another video as well, how to either protect your tools, how to protect the stone from the tools, and also how to work that cinching so that you don't pop or break the stone while you're working the wire down. So let's see, we're going to have our section of wire here, and now we have this quartz crystal. We see it's not terribly big, okay, but we're definitely going down one side for sure with the wire, and up the other side we're going to be doing some more work around, and then we have to have an area for the loop. And that would be an assessment. Now if I laid that out, I'd be drastically wrong, okay, because I have to bend it in half. So I'm actually going to take one down one side, up the other, a little bit of work and the loop, and I'm going to bend it in half at that point. Okay, now it seems like, wow, that's a lot of wire. You're allowed to have extra, and if you don't have that extra and you run out, then you've wasted the whole scrap. So we're going to start with what seemed like a lot of wire, and there may be some left over, and that's fine, but this is our midway point, and this is where we're going to start our loop. Okay, so we'll find that midway point. We'll get our snips out. I'm going to clean this table up a little bit here. We're going to get our snips. We're going to level it. Does not have to be perfect because this is a generous measure, but all the same. Okay, we already have the start of our loop. Now we could do a really dramatic loop, a really long loop. Okay. Now mind you, with the stone size, you have to consider the size of the loop as part or length of the whole piece. So if I did a really long one like that, the overall piece is going to be that long. So probably too long, okay? But you also want to make it not too small that chain or cord can't go through it. In another tutorial, we're going to be going over the cord tying so that you can create a simple necklace with an adjustable cord. Okay, so I'm going to say that's fairly good there. Now you'll take one of the flat wrenches. I'm partial to the bent nose, but you could use the other pair that we showed you here. Now, one thing to take in consideration, when I first started doing wire wraps in the late 90s, I used a Leatherman, and it had jaws in it, little teeth, and that kept a nice firm grasp onto anything, but it also really damaged the wire as you worked it. And then you got to start somewhere, right? So that's what I had on hand. So bend, decide this is our good spot. It's going to change just a little bit. We're going to grab it with our wrenches. Okay, and then we're going to twist. Twist and twist. And for this piece, I'm going to assess that back. How far down? I'm going to twist. This wrap is going to be a twist all the way down. Okay, nice and simple. Keeping a balance. It's moving around a little bit, but that's fine. I can already see the wrenches are just causing a little bit of pressure on that. There we go. Okay, we've got our beginning step. We've got a twist. We've got a loop. We've got our twist. It's going to go near the extent of the stone. I want the loop to kind of ride right in there. Okay, right in there. But I want to make sure my wires get all the way down Now it's got a very firm structure, a spine if you'd like, twisted spine in the back that everything can work off of, which is exactly what we want. Okay, just look at it again, double check. We're going to drop this one down to our first grab point. Okay, and now you may want, if you're finding you're fumbling a lot and having trouble holding the wire to the stone like so, you can always do some like masking tape or something like that you can position and strap the wire onto the stone so that you free up your hands a little bit. I will note that it does take a fairly good amount of pinching. You're going to find that your thumb is going to get really tired from holding the wrenches and the wire to the stone through the process of this, but the reward is a pendant, a gemstone that you can wear, which is great. So now I found our zone here, one edge, and actually another crystal growth off of here. This is a double tabby or a twin crystal. I'm going to drop this between those two terminations in the crystal, and then we're going to wrap this one down as well, kind of buffering it as if we're going to coil on the other side, which, depending on the stone, you might just bring up another coil up the other side. It's very, very simple. Get that. Re-gauge, make sure everything is lined up. Before dedicating the full bend of the wire, you always want to just see how it looks in the front, because this is where our presentation is going to be for the pendant. That one wraps right there. Pretty good. This one comes across as well. Let's do a, so what we'll do here is we're going to seal the deal on this first crossover. All right. So the pinch, I like to bend it up so I can get a little depth into my coil. Seal the deal. There's 1 and 2, and then you've got your crossover like that. Very easy. Now you might notice that your wire is sliding. If it doesn't grab really well, that's okay, as long as the frame is basically set up there. You bring your wires up. I see one more cross. One more. Don't want it loose at the twist. Okay. Reassess. Looks good. Okay, and again, lots of hard pinching. You're going to feel it in your hands. And bring this back. This one back. All right, brought them back. And here's where it gets fun. Going to do another twist to cinch that stone in with the wire on the front. This piece is all but done. Okay. And that's pretty good. Realign my bail so it's a little bit more straight. Initially it was bent forward. I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Now that we have our basic framework set up, the crystal's in there. It's not going anywhere, but it's also not tight. So we're going to do that next. Look at everything here. I'm going to take our bent nose, look at the stone and assess it for areas where there's gaps between the stone and the wire. I see a couple up here at the top. And that's about it. I'm also seeing this is going to be right here on the edge. There's not much of an edge for it to catch. So that's one we're going to really want to look at, because if it's going to be loose anywhere, or if it's going to let go, it's going to be in this spot. So we're going to want to really make sure we have a little extra wire there. You can see a little gap in there. We're going to want to utilize that to really capture that corner. So, taking your bent nose, I'm going to put that there, and we have a twist going here and the wire coming out. If we bend it down, right, down, we're going to be forcing the wire down over that edge. So if we did it down here, and if there's gap enough down here, we will have cinched in this wire and grabbed that corner that's not really a grabbable corner, but we will have created a bend with the wire to loop around. So we'll grab the wire, and there is a little gap, so I'm not touching the stone, but I'm going to push in to drop the wire to the stone and turn, creating that nice cinch. It's just a little bend there, but that tightens it up. Okay, so bend and turn, done. On the back, we still have a little bit there. Now here's where this plastic pen or marker comes in. See a little bit of lift on the wire, and that's something that I want to push down, and it should give me a little bit more room to cinch it in the back as well. So we've cinched it in the front. Okay, so we're going to push that down kind of where we want it to be flat, which is around that base there. And if you're having trouble, like this is going to cause trouble because it's right on an angle, carefully take the wrench and do the same thing. Just trying to drive that excess wire to the stone. Doesn't want to go nice and easy, so see if I can have that collapse by that cinch. It looks like that worked out pretty good, actually. That looks good, yeah. Okay, then I'm going to push that wire in, make sure that's firm. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to cinch the same side, and same deal. Look for cavities, look for areas where in the stone you can ride the wire. This wire is going through a twin. There's a crystal here, they're growing together, so that wire is going right through there. I want to capitalize on that as much as possible. Do the front first, because there's less room to move, so I want to kind of get that squared. Now I went inwards for this side. I could go this way with this one. The right side I could go the opposite. I could go up. I don't really need to do much because it has a firm hold, so this is more on what I want the front to look like. And I kind of like I like it to be as, symmetrical as possible, even though it's not going to be symmetrical. So I'm going to counter it with a similar bend. You'll see it's twisting out. Okay. And pushing in. Very good. Same here. I'm going to be bending it out. There we go. That dropped my loop a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to pull my loop out, and I'm going to take one of my free wires. Again, this is all pretty well done up and finished. Now I'm just going to dress it up. Give it a couple runs around with this. Snip. Okay, take my bent nose, and I'm going to tighten that twist that I just did around the bail with the loop. Okay. Okay. Now we have 2 cinches to do here to tighten it in, and maybe in the back. It should tighten it pretty good from the front, and I want a lot of my patterning to be in the front with this piece. Okay, so I'm going to cinch these, and I went down with those. I'm going to go up with these. One and on the outside there. I'm going to see if the wire is touching the stone and try and get it as close as I can. I'm going to test it. It's very tight. I'm going to drop this wire, this free wire. This is just all texturing. You know, this is all extra at this point. So I'm going to bring it forward, and we're going to make this a, let's see, make this a person on the front. Alright, so that's cinched in. I'm just going to lift so I can get this wire under there. If I can get the wire under there. Okay, so let's get that wire up. And because this wrench doesn't have jaws, does not grab as eloquently as a Leatherman would, but it's not destroying the wire in the process. Okay. Alright, so we got a lot of extra. I'm not going to look to do a really large embellishment on the front. And then goose, okay, and then so I'm going to trim it down a little bit. And then we're going to do a little coil head. Okay, so grabbing the end, so. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Tighten it down. Does not look bad. And this is all but done. You may want to do a minor cinching if you need to. Maybe in the back here. It's really not necessary. This piece is ready to wear. Human crystal. Go here. Pretty nice. Okay. And there is how we wire wrap a crystal. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe for all of our tutorials coming up. We're going to be doing more crystal grids on chakras and protective crystal grids, more wraps. We're going to be doing cabochon wraps, other crystals, natural stone wraps, tumbled stone wraps, and we're going to be doing a sale every week on a different gemstone. So I hope you join us. Please subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.